Hello everyone, this is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, here with another exciting live stream. So I ended up taking a nap at some point during my day, and it knocked me like 30 minutes off schedule. Like I took a nap at like 10, and I woke up at like 11:30, but I meant to wake up at like 11 so I could exercise and shower and be ready for the stream. So my schedule got knocked all out of whack, but now I'm here. I'm ready to do today's vlog. As always on the vlogs, what I'll be doing on the stream is I will be talking about my day. Then I'll hang out with you guys in the live chat, and then after doing that for about an hour, I'll talk about my day one more time to give you guys like two reviews of my day in case you missed the beginning of the stream but you still want to hear about my day at the end. Also, I'm going to post everything about my day in the description box below. I'm going to do that right now actually. That way you guys can follow along and also jump in the description if you happen to come in late. Yo, Rocky, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Right now, I am writing out my day in the description box. Then I'm going to go over my day, and then I'm going to chat with you guys in the live chat. So please stay tuned. Let's see, in this video, Jet talks about, and then I just copy and paste the information on my day into the description box. Then I like to space it out so that it doesn't look like a huge brick of nonsense. Yo, Vanessa Brooks, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Don't forget to smash that like button. Truly appreciate it. Right now, I'm putting my day into the description box below. That way, you all can follow along with my day as I talk about it. Then, after I talk about my day for a bit, I'll chat with you all in the live chat. So please stay tuned for that. Let's see. So here we go. 7, 8. And now I'm going to put tags on the video, which is another thing that I might as well do now while I'm here. Not only does putting tags on the video at the beginning help me not have to do it later, but also it'll help people who are searching for things like this be able to find it while it's live, which can be rather helpful. So give me one moment to do that. Yo, Nani, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Don't forget to smash that like button. Right now, I'm getting everything set up in the description of the video with like tags and what I did today and things of that nature. Then I'm going to go over my day and I'm going to hang out with you all in the live chat. So please stay tuned for that. Let's see. So right now I'm getting the tag set up on the video. That way people can find it easily. Find it more easily. Uh, find locate it easier. I'm getting lost for words. It's now like almost 1 a.m. if not like 1 a.m. Yeah, it's like 3 minutes till 1. Let's see. Throwing on some tags. I noticed that January 12th seemed to be like a really good day for the vlog. It's like one of like the best watch vlogs like in the last like 28 days. I kind of thought it was going to be the New Year's vlog that really like popped off. But it didn't make the top 10 videos of this month based on like YouTube analytics, not based off of my own standards. Yo, Jules, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Don't forget to smash that like button if you haven't already. Right now, I'm putting tags on the video and getting everything set up before the stream. Then after that, I'm going to go over my day. And then after I finish going over my day, I'm going to chat with you guys in the live chat. Then after doing that for about an hour, I'm going to go over my day again. But stay tuned. Right now, I'm getting everything set up. I think the description is now good. I think I have everything that I need for the description of the video. So now I'm going to go back to the live control room, and then I'm going to start talking about my day. So I hope you guys are ready for that. That's like part of the main event. So scrolling down. So I got the live chat in view. I got my notes for today right in front of me. So without further ado, let's get started. If you want to follow along, you can follow along in the description box below. Everything that I'm about to talk about is written in the description as well. And like I said, after this, I'll hang out with the live chat and we'll like have a discussion. Okay, so I woke up, washed my face, and watched some DC Daily. I then went to Sandellas and ate a flatbread while watching Adventures of Superboy. The drink machine at Sandellas was on the fritz. One time the button jammed and it just kept spitting out soda on my hand, so I had to like wash my hands real quick. Then the next time I used the drink machine on my way out, I was trying to get an orange Diet Coke, and the fruit flavoring, instead of shooting directly into my drink, just shot out of like the side of the drink machine on my hand and got my hand all sticky, which was kind of gross. Then the soda itself had a bad balance of like flavored syrup and soda, and it ended up tasting really sour and bitter. I then walked from Sandellas back to like my dorm, and when I got back to my dorm, I was like, I'd rather not throw like this half consumed cup in like my personal garbage can. So I went to the laundry room to see if I could like throw it away there. And when I went to the laundry room, there was a sign that said like, "Hey, like don't throw stuff away here. It costs like $25. Like you'll get a fine." And I was like, "What? There's like a fine for throwing away garbage in the laundry room? Why is there a trash can here anyways?" So I left the laundry room and I went down toward the parking lot in the back and I threw the cup away there and then I went back to my dorm. So I went back to my dorm. Maddie came over to eat breakfast. She had picked up some food from the C store and take a nap. I finished up some of my statistics homework, but I didn't finish all of it. And then I watched Superboy for a while. I'm finally on season 4 of Adventures of Superboy, and it just seems like a continuation of season 3. Every other season of the show made big changes to the series. Season 4 is the final season of Adventures of Superboy, and it seems clear to me that it's just more of the same. It's almost like they ran out of ideas. Because, like, the change from season 1 to season 2, they, like, switched out one of the main cast members, and Superboy's actor just straight up changes for the rest of the show. Season 1, Superboy's actor, by the way, was the best. Then from season 2 to season 3, it's like no longer takes place at like a college, and Superboy has like a real job, and the main cast kind of changes completely, and it takes place in a new city, and Lex Luthor gets aged up. Like it's just a huge amount of changes. And then season 4 is like season 3, but it keeps going. It just seemed odd. But anyways, enough about Adventures of Superboy. So moving through there, So Dueling Book won today's fan poll stream. So I did a series of custom card Yu-Gi-Oh duels. I had fun playing Venture Vizier again, which is one of the custom card decks that I like made. I feel like in my duel against Shadow Duelist, I might have fared better by playing Player Armor against his Lunar, Solar, and Eclipse dragons. They were really powerful, and one of his cards had a move that was like it automatically negates any attacks that your opponent does. And once it negates those attacks, they get to special summon a monster. And with Ventra Vizier, the goal of that deck is to attack your opponent directly for game. So with them having that monster on the field that negates all attacks and then special summons like extra shit, it just made Ventra Vizier pretty useless. But I think I could have gotten around it if I had used my Player Armor custom card deck instead. So after that, I started doing laundry, and I took a break to watch YouTube. While watching a Sorrow TV video, I learned that in one Virginia city, trick-or-treaters over the age of 12 can face jail time for trick-or-treating. I thought that this was very interesting. If you want to learn more about that, I have a link to it in the description box below. I honestly don't understand how they even identify the age of some kids who are in costume. You know, if you're wearing a costume, how are you going to be able to tell, like, if they're like 12 or if they're like 13? And would they really arrest a 13-year-old for trick or treating? Seems a little weird. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I definitely like to hear about it in the live chat. And like I said, I read the live chat after I go over my day, so I may be missing a few posts now, but I'm going to go back and read over what everyone said. Anyways, um, so I freshened up again, and then I started working on homework again. After making some more progress on my statistics homework, but still not finishing it, I went to class and hung out with Danica, my teacher in my business strategy class. I have two. One focuses on business strategy from like a management perspective, and one focuses on business strategy from like an information systems perspective. I'm talking about my information systems business strategy class right now. My teacher in that class really likes to say "fark" instead of saying like "fuck," like instead of like cursing, and he's a really fun guy. He makes a lot of jokes and he plays around a lot. So after going to class with Danica, where me and her like chatted during class, we had a lot of fun, but we also took notes. You know, we don't stay like too distracted. After class, I called Maddie, and while I was on the phone with Maddie, I got a chocolate peanut butter and cookie dough smoothie at Burrito Bowl. Burrito Bowl is a local restaurant on campus that I never actually eat at. I only get smoothies there, but I get their largest size of smoothie, and it's like $7. It's like the same amount of money that it costs to get their meals, but it's pretty solid. The smoothie is a custom smoothie. They don't actually sell a chocolate peanut butter and cookie dough smoothie. You have to like order their peanut butter banana smoothie and then have them like trade out a few ingredients. Anyways, Maddie came by the dorm and we hung out for a little bit watching some YouTube videos. And then after that, Maddie went home and I took a nap. I woke up like half an hour later than I wanted to, which caused me to fall behind schedule. Then Danica finally got her car back from the mechanic, and she was like excited. She was telling me about that. But she has to watch her niece this weekend. So sadly, Danica and I can't go on a date this weekend. I'll probably just hang out with the guys and play fighting games instead. Maddie says that she's like over relationships, whatever that means. And the reason that this comes up, yesterday, I was talking about my future and how I could see like a future with Danica to Maddie. And then Maddie suddenly brings up that she's been like considering working for the government, and she was like looking at a job position in like Washington D.C., which seemed really weird because me and Maddie had more or less agreed that like, hey, we're probably not going to pursue dating after like the divorce because our lives are going in different directions. She wants to like live in a foreign country for a couple of years, and I want to work for the government in the United States. So it's like that's just not going to work out. So we're just going to like go separate ways. So when she mentioned interest in like working for the government and moving to the same place as I'm planning on moving, it was like, oh, well, that's different. Seems like if we're gonna be living in the same place, maybe we should like continue pursuing like a relationship or whatever. So I bring that up. I bring up the idea of like, oh, I'm like really surprised that you would consider that because that seems to be against like what you originally wanted to do. She hits me back up and she's like, oh, I was just looking at like jobs. Like she's like, oh, I was just looking at jobs, as if it like wasn't like a legitimate thing. Like it wasn't like a serious like, oh, I'm thinking about it. I was just looking at jobs and like happened to see it. And I was like, why would you be looking at jobs in like Washington D.C.? Why would you be looking at like government jobs in like Washington D.C.? Just seems kind of weird. I feel like she only brought it up because I brought up that I was like thinking about my future and I was thinking about Danica. And the reason why is because as soon as I said that, Maddie hit me up and she was like, oh, I've been thinking about my future too. A matter of fact, I've been thinking really deeply about my future. And then she brought up like the government position. It felt like she was doing it specifically because she's like, oh, he's thinking about his future with like Danica. Gonna like slide in and like try and like add like a little drama. And I only say this because it feels like a pattern. It's something that she's done before. So there was a period of time where me and Maddie were like in the process of getting divorced, but weren't divorced yet. And Maddie more or less gave me like her blessing, like, yo, you can like pursue Danica. Like, I'm fine with that. We're separated and it's cool. And Danica was like, yeah, I'm cool with like us dating like after the divorce. So me and Danica are like talking with each other or whatever. And I'm like alone with Maddie and I'm talking to Maddie. And I tell Maddie that I'm thinking about like asking out like Danica, like not just on a date, but like to be my girlfriend. And then that same night, Maddie's like, "Oh, well, maybe we shouldn't get the divorce," and like da na 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 na. But it eventually ended up culminating into like nothing like actually changed. And I just feel like every time I hit like a moment where I feel like things are gonna get like more serious with Danica, that I should expect Maddie to like try and pull a flip flop to be like, "Oh, well, things are different." But I shouldn't take it too seriously. Even yesterday, when I was like talking about it, I was like, well, I received a few more messages from Maddie like during the stream. It's probably nothing. Like it's probably gonna like flip flop again, and it did. So I'm not surprised. Um, but because Maddie says that she's over relationships now, whatever that means, that makes things easier for me because I can pursue Danica without feeling like conflicted, without feeling like, oh, well, Maddie's like still interested and Maddie's still there. As long as Maddie sticks to the like, I'm not interested and it's fine that you're pursuing Danica thing, then I'm good. But it does always feel weird, and I do always think about when Maddie like does flip flop because it makes me think like, oh, like, is there still like the opportunity for something, whether there is or isn't. Anyways, I exercised while watching a Back Issues episode on the death of Captain Marvel. Back Issues is my favorite comic book based series on YouTube, where it follows like Sal, Ethan, and Ben. Sal being a guy who's like really well versed in like comic books, Ethan being a guy who doesn't read comic books at all, and Ben being a guy who reads comic books somewhat, but he's not super familiar with like comic book lore. And Sal tries to explain a really complicated comic book to them, and then like comedic hijinks ensue. So if you guys want to check out that new back issues episode on the death of Captain Marvel, definitely feel free to look that up on YouTube. I would highly recommend the series. Like I said, it's my favorite comic book series on YouTube. After that, I took a shower, freshened up, and then I started the live stream. So that is my day for day. That is my day that I had yesterday in 15 minutes. Now that I've covered my day in great detail, I'm down to read the live chat, hang out with you all, have a discussion. Enough about me, or if you guys want to talk about any elements of my day in particular, feel free to like hit me up and ask me about it. But this is now like an open questions, open discussion kind of like stream where you guys can talk to me about like whatever you want. Think of it like an AMA, like a virtual hangout, etc. So let me check the live chat, see what everyone said, and let's get a discussion going. So Rocky said hi there. Yo, Rocky, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Don't forget to smash that like button. Vanessa Brooks said hi. Yo, Vanessa Brooks, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Don't forget to smash that like button. Nani said, Ricky Bobby, yo, Nani, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Don't forget to smash that like button. Jules said, hello. Yo, Jules, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Don't forget to smash that like button. Jules said, I gotta go to bed though. Just checking up on what's happening. School is killing me. Sorry to hear that school has been riding on you. For the most part, for me, school has been like okay. I think my statistics class has been a little rough, but that's only because we had a pop quiz not too long ago, and I was not ready for that pop quiz. But I hope that school gets better as the semester continues forward, and no problems with you having to go to bed. Thank you for checking in. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great night's sleep. Thank you for tuning in, Jules. Rocky said, how are you? Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. I just went over my day. If you missed any part of my day, feel free to jump in that description box below. I have everything that I did today written out. Plus, I'm going to go over my day again at the end of the stream. Sebastian Gomez said, hola, bro. Yo, Sebastian Gomez, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Don't forget to smash that like button. Rocky then asked, what is your favorite sport? Now, I'm actually not a big sport guy, believe it or not. If we were to talk like esports, I'm really into like fighting games. When it comes to like actual sports, like physical activity, um, is LARPing a sport? I've personally never done like live action role play, but it seems like a sport that I would be interested in watching. That seems like it would be fun to do, and I've even like written like a guidebook on like how to like live action role play based on like my own like rule set. So it seems really cool, and it seems like something that you could make into a sport. So maybe that. I know back in high school, I really liked Ultimate Frisbee. Like, I really fucked with Ultimate Frisbee. I actually considered a college back in the day that was like located in like Arkansas that had like an Ultimate Frisbee team. We actually have one here at the university that I go to, but I'm not a member of it. Like I said, I'm not like really into sports for real. But I thought that was like really interesting when I was younger, and I was like, that's cool. So I'd say maybe like Ultimate Frisbee. I also like those extreme obstacle courses, like what you see on like Ultimate Beastmaster and like Ninja Warrior. I like watching those obstacle course shows. There's also, I keep like thinking of things as I continue. There's a gladiator show. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but there's a series where they take like the best weapons fighters, right? People who train in like how to use like swords and like axes and other blades, like stuff that will just straight up kill you, and they give them these like protective armor suits, and they give them weapons that have like the same weight as like the weapons that they normally have, but they're made out of a special polymer that makes it like more of a blunt force weapon. So instead of it being like a sword that would like slice you in half, it would just like hit you with the same amount of force as like a real sword, but it won't like cut into you. And the armor not only protects them from getting hurt, so like you get like hit by the attack but you don't like die. Not only does it protect you, but it like tells the announcers like what would have happened to you if you actually got hit, and the fight stops when you would have in real life like killed someone, like if you were like using the real weapons and you weren't wearing armor. um so that actually might be one of my favorite sports. I think if they combined that, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, if they combined that with like those obstacle course shows and made it where you had to go through like an extreme obstacle course, and then in the middle of it you have to face off against another competitor, and you're both wearing those armor suits and using those like special weapons, and then you have essentially a fight to the death where nobody dies, and then like whoever got like the best time on the obstacle course and like survived the longest in the fight wins. I think that would be dope as fuck. I really need to remember what that's called. I've only seen a couple matches, but it's really interesting to see like professional weapons masters go up against each other in a fight to the death. That shit is like really dope. Kel said, "Hey, how y'all doing? Yo, Kels, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. Make sure to smash that like button if you haven't already." Kel said, "Last stream, you said you'd tell us how you lost your virginity." Okay, I got you. So, the way that I lost my virginity is actually like a really weird story. I actually, for the longest time, didn't want to have sex until marriage. I was like really like stuck on like the abstinent thing. But it wasn't for religious reasons or anything like that. It was more of like a financial thing. You know, if you like mess up and you have a kid, um, like unintentionally, that's like a huge financial burden for like you and the other person involved. So, you know, you just don't want to like make that kind of mistake, especially like really early on. So for the longest time, I didn't like have sex. I didn't do anything like sexual with anybody. I just kind of lived my life. So last year, closer to like the end of the year, I ended up going on a date with this one girl. I won't like disclose her name. So I went on a date with this one girl, and she was talking about like, well, for starters, going on the date, right? She picks me up, and she has like a baby in the backseat, right? The baby's not hers, but she's been babysitting for this one like really young couple who had a kid. They didn't necessarily like want to have a kid, and they're not the most responsible parents ever. So she would like babysit after that kid to try and make sure that they were like okay. And she was talking about how like she like wanted like a kid of her own, and she feels like she could handle it, and that if the parents of that baby really didn't want it, that she would consider maybe like adopting the baby like herself, and that if she didn't adopt the baby, that her parents were considering like maybe adopting the baby to like get it out of like the bad home, and they like missed like having a kid or whatever. So you go through like talking about all that, right? And then you like scoot forward in the day, like during the date, and we're like at cookout, and she's talking about how like she'd be interested in like taking my virginity or whatever, but it wouldn't be like a today thing, it would be like a future thing, and she called it like a virginity day. So the concept would be like we would like get together one day, and we would just kind of do it, but it would be like pre-planned, and we would make sure that like nothing weird happened. So we go from the virginity day being like a future thing to it becoming like the same day. So we go like back to her place, and things start getting like kind of weird. So she talks about how for the virginity day, we'd have to make sure that like we got like the proper size like condom. Like we would need to like have like a condom that like fit me. So she was like, I'll need to like see what you're packing or whatever to like understand like what kind of condom that I would like need to get for you. So I pretty much like whip out, one thing leads to another. She like proposes like, what if we just do it like now? I'm like, I don't know about that. I've been like abstinent like this whole time. I'm not really trying to like fuck around like that. I don't want to like accidentally have a kid. And then I think to myself, well, she kind of already wants a kid. And even if she was like, nah, I didn't want a kid, her parents are like trying to adopt a kid. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, worst case scenario, you have a kid, but she like wants that, and it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. Horrible logic. Never use that logic. Luckily, I didn't have a kid. Luckily, like never, nothing weird came out of it. But there was a period of time where she like thought she was pregnant. She was like having like psychosomatic symptoms where she was like psyching herself out, and she like thought she was like having a kid, but she like wasn't actually having a kid. And we like bought pregnancy tests. We made like really sure. I never like finished like in her or anything like that, but the fact that she acted like she was pregnant made it seem like really weird. So we just were like trying to make sure. Never do that. Never do that. That was very dangerous. That could have went any sort of direction. Very irresponsible. Um, but that's more or less how I ended up having a kid. That story actually has like a few more like funny details in it. The full story involves like Aquaman and shit. If you want to know more about that, just feel free to ask. I'm a pretty open book on that. But yeah, yeah, that's how I lost my virginity. Let's see. Kel said maybe a cop who like really hates kids would arrest a 13-year-old. Yeah, it's crazy. In case you guys missed it, there's a city in Virginia that will have you face jail time if you trick or treat and you're over the age of 12. They claim that the reason why they do this is to prevent like tricks, like to prevent people from like doing like pranks and stuff on Halloween, because they think around the age of when you become a teenager is when you're more likely to start like doing like vandalism and like throwing like toilet paper like in trees and shit like that. So in order to prevent that from being a thing, they're like, if you're over 12 and you're trick or treating, you can like get arrested and like go to jail. Like you would like spend time in jail. It's a crime. And I was like, that's ridiculous. I'm like, there's no way, A, that you'd be able to tell the difference between like a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old if they're like in a Halloween costume. And B, that you would arrest a 13-year-old on Halloween. Would you really, especially if they weren't actually doing any pranks, would you really like pull over a 13-year-old who's just walking, by the way, it's not like they'd be in a car, and take them to jail for trying to enjoy Halloween? That seems like a little weird. I imagine that Virginia City, it's gonna become more of a tradition for people who are 13 years old and up to do like Halloween parties, which is something that I remember doing as a kid, like doing like Halloween like get-togethers and like parties or whatever. Um, but it'll just be more likely that you do that than you risk going to jail. I'm also curious what parents are gonna like enforce that. Like if your kids like over the age of 12 and they trick or treat, but they trick or treat with a parent, is it okay? Like that seems like a weird thing to make illegal. But yeah, continuing forward, Kel said, I think I'm the only one here now. He said, I'm the last one standing. Then he said, what's your favorite of your custom archetypes? So, of the custom archetypes that I've made. So, I would say that my favorite custom archetype, I really wanted the Moon Mirror Knights or whatever to be like my magnum opus, like my masterpiece. I hope I'm using magnum opus right. I'm actually not sure if I am. But I wanted it to be like the best archetype that I could make, and I threw like a whole bunch of shit into like Moon Mirror Knights to where they could be like toon monsters, they could be like tuners, they have like an extra deck monster of like any type you could think of. But in the end, I feel like Moon Mirror Knights ended up being like the biggest archetype I made, but also an archetype that I feel like I would never play, and it doesn't have like a real play style. It was originally made to support Moon Mirror Shield, the equip spell, but what ended up happening is I had so many ideas that I just threw into that one archetype. It's just kind of a mess. It's just like a whole bunch of shit. So Moon Mirror Knights is what I wanted to be my favorite archetype, but in the end, I feel like it became a jumbled mess. Player armor I really like, but I feel like player armor isn't necessarily fair. It's essentially a deck that's based around equipping yourself with like armor pieces that act as like continuous spell cards, and then whenever someone attacks you directly, you can destroy an armor piece instead of taking any damage from the attack. So it's almost like they blew a piece of armor off you with the hit, and then the field play spell card helps you like recover like the pieces and things of that nature. Player armor I feel like is the most powerful custom archetype I've made, but I'm not sure if Yu-Gi-Oh would ever, Konami I mean, would actually ever make cards like that. I feel like Konami would see it as being unfair, that they like wouldn't want to do it. Um, because I do think it's really powerful. There are ways to get around it in the game. You know, it's not like player armor is like impossible to stop, but it's just maybe too strong to be used outside of any custom format. I couldn't see Konami actually making anything like player armor in the real game. So player armor I think is really fun to play. I think it's a cool concept to allow the player to be able to battle. That was another thing about player armor, is that player armor helmet allows you to sacrifice your own life points to attack your opponent. So it allowed you to like fight alongside your own monsters. It's a really cool concept. Like I said, I just feel like it's not really that fair. Then I've made like a few other custom archetypes, but I'd say the one that I play the most is Ventra Vizier. It allows you to do a combo that already exists in the game a little bit easier. So it's just, to me, it feels more fair. It uses cards that already exist and just makes cards to support those in order to like make it easier to play. It's a combo deck. And I feel like it wouldn't be too far fetched for the cards to actually be made into a thing. Like if Konami decided they wanted to support the combo, only because the cards have conditions built into them to prevent them from being like a little too broken. Some of them I feel like are a little broken, like Ventrivizier Scout kind of can search any one piece of the combo without any additional conditions. But most of the cards require that you have at least some of the combo already built up in order for you to then activate it to help you like keep the combo going. In other words, the deck is designed to where if you don't have any of the combo pieces you need, you're not just going to magically be able to do the combo. But if you have like a couple components that you need, then you should be able to, using other support cards, get the rest of the combo going. So that's the main idea. I feel like Ventrivizier is actually pretty fair for what it is, and that it doesn't do anything like too crazy. So that's probably my favorite custom archetype that I've made because I feel like it's like one of the most balanced and most fair ones I've made. Nani said, Nick, be cool. Then he said, did Matt or Ryan pull up? So I actually haven't seen Ryan this week. If me and Ryan were to have hung out, it would have probably have been like today or it would have been Monday. Because Ryan currently isn't going to like school this semester. So Ryan, whenever he comes over, he's coming over like specifically to like hang out. Then Nani said, "Wait, who?" He said, "Someone wants to take your virginity day." Who? Hello? So Nani, you missed the part where I said I'm not going to like reveal who the person was, and also that was like last year. That's like old news that I like lost my virginity. Old stuff. So that's like been there, done that, already happened. Moving forward with Kells. Kells said, my favorite custom archetypes of mine are the Bright Eyes cards. He said, but that's mostly because I made them to work with Odd Eyes, which is my favorite actual archetype. And that makes sense because I do feel like the custom archetypes that people will probably enjoy the most are things that are like support, you know, because you don't feel like you're making it entirely from scratch. It just makes playing the cards you already love to play easier, and that just like feels better. You know what I mean? Because you're essentially saying that there's like a hole in like the pre-existing Yu-Gi-Oh like game, and that you're filling that hole with what you think would make the game more enjoyable and make like the archetypes that you like to play better. Um, Player Armor tries to do that by saying like the hole in Yu-Gi-Oh is not allowing the player to have like more direct power in the game. So it allows you to feel like you as the player can like single-handedly face off against an opponent and all their monsters, or that you as the player can work alongside your own monsters in order to like overcome your opponent. It's trying to fill a hole, but because it relies on its own cards more than anything else, um, it more or less is creating something new rather than like supporting something else, which makes it feel a little less fair and in some cases makes it feel like a little less fun. Where I feel like Venture Vizier, similar to how you feel about like Bright Eyes, is because it's like a direct response to something that already exists. It feels a little bit more fair. It feels a little bit more fun because it's Yu-Gi-Oh with like some added pop rather than starting to feel like its own game, which can happen when you just create like an archetype from scratch. Do you feel similarly? I guess that would be a question that I have for you. But yeah, right now we're about like 33 minutes in. We got one viewer and 4 likes. I feel like the beginning part of the stream where I was going over my day, we ended up losing like a good amount of people like over time. Kel said player armor is really cool. I'd say the easiest way to beat it though is with a crap ton of monsters. I mean, the thing about player armor, right? Uh, with a crap ton of monsters, you can like swing and swing and swing and swing, and you can like blow up all my armor pieces. But the deck is more or less filled with armor pieces and ways for you to like get armor pieces like out of the graveyard and things of that nature. Plus, the field play spell card allows you to do stuff like the first time like the armor piece would be destroyed, you can only activate it like once per turn during your opponent's turn. Excuse me, the first time an armor piece would be destroyed, you can be like, nah, and you can like save it. So you don't get it back on the field. It like goes to your hand after going to the graveyard. It like bounces back, but it's not like too bad. There are also ways for you to like repair your armor pieces. To me, a whole bunch of monsters isn't good enough to get rid of player armor. You can destroy a whole bunch of pieces at once, but there are ways within player armor for you to get those pieces back without too much trouble. I feel like the best way to get rid of player armor isn't with monsters, but it's with like direct spell destruction. Or like, oh, returning it to the hand is also like really powerful. Like just being able to say those armor cards aren't even on the field makes them like irrelevant. As soon as you can like peel them off the board and they're not on the board and they're all like continuous spells, there's not much I can do at that point. It's out of my hands. So that's what I would say is like the best way to get past like player armor. That and like negating like spell effects, just making it where like none of those spells actually work. Like that would be pretty powerful. But I feel like negating them and removing them from the field is like really good. Player armor does have ways to protect the cards from being removed from the field, but the protection that it has is like limited. I think you can do that like once per turn, and if you have like a quick play card, it has like a similar effect in order to prevent them from getting like peeled off the field. But I don't know. I feel like if I'm facing off against people who have like, hey, true nade, like shit like that, I'm not gonna just easily get around it with like player armor, and I also like have to have those pieces out to begin with. So there are some ups and downs with that, but I feel like just brute forcing it with monsters isn't good enough for player armor. Player armor is a little too strong for that, I would say. Kel said, I agree with the whole hole in Yu-Gi-Oh thing. Yeah, I do feel like that does make it more fun when you feel like you're filling in that hole. Let's see. Have you seen any of the new Yu-Gi-Oh cards that have been announced, like Time Thief and things of that nature? Um, I was told about Time Thief by Ryan, who was like, "Yo, have you heard about like Time Thief?" And I went on the YGO organization website and looked at it. Seems like it's an XYZ based archetype that involves stealing cards from your opponent. Not just stealing cards from your opponent like from their field, but also like directly from your opponent's deck, which I think is really interesting. And you steal those cards in order to use them as materials for XYZ monsters. So I think it's an interesting concept for sure, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Kel said the next archetype that I might make after I finish Voidtrons are going to be superstars. He said, I think of superstars as non-pendulum performapals that special summon themselves like cybers. Interesting. I actually don't know a lot about performapals, but non-pendulum performapals sound interesting, mainly because performapals, if I'm not mistaken, are like a pendulum archetype. Like a big thing about them is that they are pendulum monsters. So I guess I would want to ask, what do performapals normally do? Also, that was my stomach growling. That was really weird. What do performapals normally do? What is like their normal like function? I know I'm going to Sandellas tomorrow. I'm gonna get my usual Sandellas: Brazilian flatbread with sweet Brazilian sauce, grilled chicken, hot sauce, bacon, and onions. It's pretty good. It's like a sweet onion. It's not bad. Hopefully the soda machines aren't still busted like they were earlier today. One good thing I can say about the soda machine, it had strawberry Dr. Pepper. I had never had strawberry Dr. Pepper before. Pretty good. I'm personally not a Dr. Pepper fan. I'm not like, ooh, gotta get some Dr. Pepper. I have some fans who, not some fans, I have some friends who really fuck with Dr. Pepper, who are like that's like their favorite soda. I'm not like that in any way, but strawberry Dr. Pepper's pretty lit. Not gonna lie. Now, is it better than orange Diet Coke? I don't know about that. Orange Diet Coke has a special place in my heart. Kel said, surprisingly, for Performapals don't focus on pendulum summoning as much as you think. Performapals mostly use the pendulums for their pendulum effects. Okay, so would superstars essentially be able to use their pendulum effects as monster effects? Like, would it be essentially Performapals except instead of them using pendulum effects, they have those as their normal monster effects. And instead of using pendulum scales to summon out, they can just summon themselves out. Um, you said similar to Cybers, which is interesting. Do 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 do. Also, I think it's weird that Cyverse gets spelled with a B sometimes. Excuse me. That just seems really awkward. Because I get why it's like cyber, um, but they're definitely going for like cyber universe. And it just seems like you would want to split it at that B sound into a V instead of keeping the B and then going for the ers. It just sounds different in a weird way. It's very similar, burst versus verse, but I still think verse has like a better ring to it, in my opinion. He said, "Sorry, I was referring to Performapals in the sense of their art style." Oh, I was talking about their play style. That's interesting. Um, do 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 do. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there are any parts of my day that I kind of like lightly skimmed over that I wouldn't mind going into like additional detail on. Nothing really big I think has happened in Adventures of Superboy season 4. The season 3 finale was really weird for Adventures of Superboy. It more or less involved Superboy being sent to another universe where in that universe his spacecraft went through a time warp and he didn't arrive on Earth until near the present day, and he didn't land on a farm, he landed like in a jungle. So he's like a super baby, like in the fucking jungle, just doing whatever he wants. And Lex Luthor tricks baby him into being like, I'm your dad, and the bad people stole all my money and put it in banks. So you have like a actual Superboy, like a little kid Superboy who like robs banks and shit, and Superboy working with an adult version of himself from another universe who's essentially an old Superman has to defeat the young Superboy and convince him that that Lex Luthor isn't his father and that he doesn't need to be robbing banks. It was an interesting concept for a two-part episode, but it felt weird. It took a while for them to explain like what the fuck was happening, but it was an interesting season finale to say the least. Then Kel said, I'm not sure if I want to make them fusion based, synchro based, or XYZ based. So when you said that you were going to make them special summon themselves like Cyverse, I'm surprised that you're not considering making them link based. Having them be like link superstars. Considering that Cyverse is like part of the inspiration for them. Also, ritual summoning not getting any love, I see. Didn't even mention rituals. I like rituals only because they don't have to depend on the extra monster zones, which is pretty nice. You can have a whole bunch of ritual monsters on the field with the greatest of ease, without having to, you know, get a bunch of link markers set up on your field and things of that nature. Someone mentioned in the dueling book chat, not for the dueling book stream, but the chat proper on the website, um, if they're ever going to make spells that have link arrows. And I feel like they could do something like that pretty easily. You could have like a continuous spell card that just says monsters in the same column. Sorry, extra deck monsters can be summoned in monster zones in the same column as this card. You could essentially do that, and then it would act as if it was like a link arrow that was for you and your opponent, more or less. Um, or if you wanted to make it broken just for you, so you can summon extra deck monsters to zones in the same column as this that you control. It could be like that if you want to make it like less fair, because that's pretty much what it would be. Um, I feel like Konami could do that really easily, and you could make that a custom card really easily. You could probably call it like not necessarily extra monster sanctuary, but like maybe extra monster pointer or extra monster arrow or X monster arrow, something like that. Then Kel said, I just don't think they work as rituals. He said, I also made an origami archetype that's based on rituals and XYZ. It's interesting to see rituals and XYZ together. Then Kel said, I think I'll have superstars focus on links and have at least one monster for each summoning method. I did the one monster for each summoning method thing for Moon Mirrors. The only thing I would say in regards to that is just like try not to get lost in the sauce. Now, if there's one thing that I do think I did well with the Moon Mirrors, it's probably the special summon monsters. I think the Moon Mirror boss monsters were pretty good. I think the only thing that I did with them that was a little weird is I think I gave them too much attack. I think some of them have higher attack point values than they need, but I felt like their effects were pretty worth it. Like they had like strong effects that worked well like on their own, and they were normally effects that helped you mitigate the cost of having to summon them. So you have to spend resources to summon them, but if you summon them successfully, you can kind of get those resources back. Um, so I thought that was like pretty good for what it was. But yeah, as long as you don't get lost in the sauce, that sounds awesome because it gives people the opportunity to figure out, you know, what extra deck monster or special summon boss monster works best with their playstyle, and then design their deck around that. So giving players options like that is pretty good. So that's pretty dope. I like that. I imagine in that Virginia city where it's illegal to trick or treat past the age of like 12, that you're gonna have kids who like do like rebellion shit, like we're gonna trick or treat no matter what. You can't hold back our trick or treating, and then like cops will like be like freeze trick or treating or whatever, and they'll be like scatter, and like the kids will like run around and stuff like trying to like get away from the police. I feel like it's a really weird concept that would make like a nice 80s movie. A group of kids who are like fuck the law and they're just gonna go and trick or treat regardless of what the law says, and you have like a cop who's like, I gotta stop these damn trick or treaters, and it just becomes like a thing. I think that would be like an interesting concept for like a comedy movie, like a PG-13 kind of affair. I could see some parents being in on it and being like, aren't you a little old for trick or treating? And they like pull out a phone for like 911 to like report that they're like trick or treaters. It just seems like if that city takes it really seriously, you could make a lot of like interesting like sketches and skits that like show like how ridiculous that can be and really like blow it out of proportion. Which is why I feel like it would make a nice like campy 80s movie kind of vibe. I don't know. I'm curious what you all think about that. Real quick, I'm going to look and figure out what that Gladiator show was that I was talking about earlier. Um, it's called Ultimate Weapons Master. The thing I was talking about before. Hmm. Actually, I think I have like a few more answers in regards to like what my favorite sport would be. So I have a thing on my computer that's called like Dreams Come True. And it's more or less like a text document that's filled with links, and it's things that I think are like really cool that just exist in the real world that I kind of never thought would really exist in the real world. We've now had uh, international mech battle between like the United States and Japan. It happened like a few years ago where we got to see giant robots fight live, each representing their own country. If that became like a full-on sport, I'd be down. I feel like that's pretty hype to see like giant robots battling it out. So I feel like that has to make its way up there somewhere for like favorite sports. I already mentioned the Ninja Warrior obstacle course stuff. I already mentioned Ultimate Weapons Master, which I mean, it's literally watching people fight to the death, but it's the future, so no one actually has to die. That's pretty good. And then Robot Combat League was like a cool sport that existed for a really short amount of time. It was like a TV show, but that was really dope. It essentially involved teams of people building their own robots, and then you had a vest that someone put on where they could control the robot's movements. and then the robots would fight against each other, and they have to like repair the robots between rounds and shit like that. That was a really cool concept. Existed for like a short period of time, and then like didn't come back. But I'd watch Robot Combat League. I thought that was like a really cool idea. But I'd say if you could somehow put all those sports together, that would be really dope. Maybe have a Robot Combat League kind of thing where you have someone who's like wearing like a harness and they have like a robot suit and they can like control the robot, and then you have someone wearing like the ultimate weapons master armor to where if the robot hit them it wouldn't like kill them, but the armor would tell you like if they had been hit how would they have died or whatever. And then that robot has like weak points on it, and it's like a professional weapons master using like a weapon to fight against the robot. And if you like damage the robot's weak points, then you're able to like win the match, and it would be a man versus machine thing, where it's like you gotta build a robot that you think could defeat like a professional like swordsman, and then the swordsman has to train to defeat like a robot, and then you would like each week see like a different like professional like weapons fighter face off against like a new and improved like robot that's designed to like defeat like a weapons master. I think that would be cool as fuck. Kel said, I made like a Yu-Gi-Oh OC that uses superstars, and he's a performer duelist like Yuya from Arc V. He said I kind of make an OC for every custom archetype I made. That's actually really cool. If you have any like short stories that you've written about them, like 250 words or less, or any like fan art based around like your OCs, feel free to post them on the Amino. I wouldn't mind doing like videos on it where I like read over like your fan fiction, maybe do like a dramatic reading. Like I said, 250 words or less to make sure it's not like too long. And then if you have like enough fan art, I think in order to make me make like a fan art video, like a slideshow, I need at least 10 pictures. I feel like any less than 10 in the slideshow would be like too short. I'd be more than happy to like showcase your art and talk about your fan fiction. I mean, the channel itself has a big Yu-Gi-Oh audience. Plenty of people who watch the channel like love Yu-Gi-Oh, and I think people would really enjoy like learning more about like your OCs and the custom archetypes that you've made through your OCs. So I think that would be really dope. I think one thing that would be really cool is if you wrote a fan fiction that involved multiple of your OCs facing off against each other. Like maybe there's like a mock tournament, and in the fan fiction it's like the finals, and the final contestants are like all the different OCs that you've made for your for your different custom archetypes, and they battle it out. I think that would be really dope. I'd love to like read something like that, and like and do a video on that. Sorry, I'm getting like really tongue tied. And do a video on that. So if you are interested in that, feel free to post like short stories on the Amino, 250 words or less, and feel free to submit any fan art if you're interested in pursuing that. I think it would be really cool. I think people would like it on the channel. So if you do want to do that, feel free to hit up the Amino. I think that'd be cool. Let's see. Also, do you happen to have like any additional questions? Whether it's based on like Yu-Gi-Oh, video games, like how you're doing today. I would love to just talk about anything. Open book. So I'm here for discussion. I'm excited for Dial H for Hero. Dial H for Hero is a comic book series that's published by DC Comics, and it's had many different iterations over the years. I've read all of the earliest version of Dial H for Hero, and I've read all of the latest Dial H for Hero series that came back in like 2011. There's now a new series that's coming out this year, but I feel weird about it. The writer I thought was Brian Michael Bendis, but it's not. It's a part of Brian Michael Bendis's imprint that's made for young adult readers that's called Wonder Comics, and it's written by the guy who writes like the Harley Quinn series, and he wrote like some of the later Harley Quinn stuff. And he wrote Green Lanterns, which was like a buddy cop like Green Lantern book, and he's written a lot of like the Looney Tunes DC crossover stuff. So I just feel like he has a weird biography. I've like not biography, bibliography. I've read some of Green Lanterns, like the buddy cop Green Lantern thing, and it was like okay. I didn't like stick to it. I fell off after like a period of time. I've never really gotten into Harley Quinn, and I feel like that's been by choice. I've heard good things about it. I've heard that people love it, but I've also heard it's very similar to Deadpool from Marvel, and I've never been a big like Deadpool fan. So I'm like, if I don't really fuck with Deadpool, I couldn't see myself like reading Harley Quinn. But I'm gonna give his Dial H for Hero series a chance. I just feel like I'm gonna be very critical of it because if I could write anything for DC, I would probably want to write a Dial H for Hero book. So I feel like I'm gonna be more critical of Dial H for Hero than I'll be of like any other comic that comes out this year. Kel said, I'm working on a future archetype that works with all summoning methods, not just not just has them in the archetype, but overall it's pendulum based. Okay, so the future archetype won't just have extra summoning methods for flavor. It's like made to be like no matter like what future monsters you're running or future cards you're running, it works well with Xyz, synchros, pendulums, fusions, rituals, etc., etc. That sounds really cool. I like that as a concept to have an archetype that works well no matter like what you're running. That actually is pretty dope. Let's see. Oh, what are your thoughts in regards to maybe like writing some fan fiction on your OCs or like doing some fan art on your OCs? Because I'm really curious. But if it's something that you don't necessarily vibe with, I understand. It's based on like your comfortability on like that kind of thing. I'm actually really curious what Aiden, aka Winslow, has been up to. Haven't hung out with him since the past weekend, uh, and we hung out like a good bit like the past weekend. So I'm curious to see what he's been up to working on like his ionic propulsion stuff. That was really cool being in the lab with him and like troubleshooting, trying to figure out like what was wrong, how to fix it. But I hope things are going well. I just haven't talked to Winslow in like the last few days. Been kind of busy with school. I still have parts D and E of problem number 5 of chapter 6 of my statistics work, and I have some statistics studying that I'm going to have to do. I'm going to work on that tomorrow after I eat some flatbreads from Sandellas. Kel said, one reason I really like pendulum monsters is because they work for every summoning method. There's pendulum XYZ, there's pendulum synchro, there's pendulum fusion, everything. Except pendulum rituals, because Konami hates or hated rituals. It is weird to see Konami more or less backpedal and like say like, you know what, we've been slacking on rituals, it's time for us to throw out that ritual support, throw out that ritual support. I feel like what's weird is that rituals now seem to be focusing on level 10 monsters. A lot of the like new ritual support I've seen has been like, yo, you trying to summon those level 10 monsters though? And in my mind I'm like, no, no, I've never really been interested in summoning like level 10 monsters. I like level 8 ritual monsters for the most part. Um, but it's interesting to see that we're getting all this level 10 support. I'd actually love to see more like level 4, level 8 ritual support come out, if anything. Kel said, yeah, I can totally make art for my OCs. Yeah, like I said, if we can get like 10 like um, art pictures that you do, like pictures of like your OCs on the amino, I'd be more than happy to do like a slideshow of them and like post it like on the channel. And if anyone has like made fan art or just art in general that you'd like me to showcase on the channel, I know Shuri has made art and posted on the amino. I know that John Mason does like a lot of art. If you guys like want to like share your art and have it on the channel, tell me if you like want it on the channel, because I imagine Shuri has posted like a good amount of art. Shuri probably has like 10 different like art pieces that I could like make into a slideshow, but it would depend on whether or not Shuri like wanted me to do that. I'm sure John Mason has like more than enough art for me to make into a slideshow, but it would depend on if he wanted me to do that. Same thing with you, Kels, and like your OCs. So if you like want me to make it into a slideshow, just feel free to post it to the amino, and I'll like get all that together. I now have 2 minutes left before I go over my day one more time and then end the stream. So within like this like last minute or so of the stream, feel free to ask any questions that you want, and maybe it'll end up being a cliffhanger question, similar to how like the virginity question ended up being a cliffhanger. You could like hit me up and I'll be like, next time, maybe I'll answer that. You know what I mean? Because now we have like 30 seconds left. So if you guys have like a fast question, there's like the best time to like go through like a fast question and like hit me up. Do 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 do. After all this talk of Ultimate Weapons Master, I'm actually really hyped to look at that again. It's been a long time since I've looked at it. I think Mortal Kombat 11 has actually gotten me more hyped for Ultimate Weapons Master than anything else because in Mortal Kombat, as of recent games, when you get hit, you can see when like bones break and like fracture and shit like that. And Ultimate Weapons Master really emphasizes that. So Kel said, "What's your favorite summoning method and why?" I'll make that a cliffhanger question because we now have hit an hour. So next time, on the next like vlog that we do, feel free to ask me that question again closer to the beginning. I'd be more than happy to answer that cliffhanger question. That also gives you guys something to look forward to next time. So I dig that. So now I'm going to go over my day one more time, starting from the top and going to the bottom. If you guys want to follow me along as I like talk about my day, I've posted all this in the description box below. So without further ado, I'm going to not read the live chat for a bit, focus on reading and going over my day. And then after I go over my day, I'll look at the live chat a little bit more, see if I missed anything, and then I'll end the stream. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump in. So I woke up, I washed my face, I watched some DC Daily. In case you're not familiar with DC Daily, it's a daily news show that the DC Universe streaming service has. And they go over everything new that's going on in DC Comics, whether it be like comics, movies, animated series, new stuff on the streaming service, etc. So I watched a little bit of DC Daily to get myself caught up on some DC news. I really like the coverage that they do for Young Justice because they have like a whole group of people who more or less use it like a book club where they like get together and they talk about the episodes after they come out. And it's interesting to hear their opinions, but also some of their insights because they know a lot more about like how it connects to the comics than I do, and they know a lot more about how it connects to like the tie-in comics specifically. I'm surprised at the depth that the Young Justice tie-in comics have with what's currently going on in season three. It's gotten me interested in possibly looking at those tie-in comics and maybe doing videos on them. I think that'd be really cool. So I watched some DC Daily, and then I went to Sandellas, which is the flatbread place on campus that I like to go to. I normally go there like most mornings around 10 a.m. And I hit up those flatbreads. I always get it to go, so I can get in the to-go box in case I need to like take it back to the dorm. But I normally get it to go, and then I eat it there. Like I've already said many times before, it's like a sweet Brazilian sauce with sweet onions, grilled chicken, and bacon, which gives it like a little extra like meaty flavor, and hot sauce, which gives it like a kick. It's a really like unique flavor that I can't get out of like most other foods, which is why I can eat it like day in and day out for my one meal a day and not really get tired of it. Sandella's drink machines were on the fritz today. I don't know what was up, but the first time when I got a soda, I got like a strawberry Dr. Pepper, which is really good, by the way. I'm not a big Dr. Pepper guy, but strawberry Dr. Pepper is pretty delicious. So the first time I hit it up, the button jammed, and it just like kept just spitting out soda, it just kept like shooting soda out of the machine, and I got like my hand dirty, so I had to like wash my hands, and the next time I used the soda machine, it was on my way out to get a soda to go, as I like walked back to my dorm. That time the button didn't stick, but I got like an orange Diet Coke because I like how orange flavoring works with Diet Coke's flavor better than how it works with like normal Coca Cola. So I tried to get an orange Diet Coke, and the fruit flavoring seemed to shoot out the side, so it shot at my hand and it shot at the side of the cup, while the soda went straight down into the cup. The way that it mixed created a bad balance between the orange flavor and the Diet Coke flavor. Normally, it creates like a sweet and fizzy, like boom to your senses. Instead, it made like a really like sour and bitter drink, and I like was like, this is gross. I don't know why I'm still drinking this. And I like drank on it until I like got like closer to my dorm, and then I was like, I'm gonna try and like throw this away. But I don't want to throw away like a half empty cup of soda in my dorm. I'd rather like throw it away in the laundry room, since the laundry room is like literally the floor like underneath the floor that I live on. So I go to the laundry room, and I'm about to throw it away in the garbage can, and I see a sign that's like $25 fine if you throw away any like household garbage in like the laundry room. And I was like, yikes! So I went over to the dumpster and I used it, and then I went back up to my room. So I go back up to my room, and Maddie comes over after going to the C store to like pick up some food for breakfast. So Maddie and I hang out while she eats breakfast, and then she takes a nap. While Maddie's like taking a nap, I finish up some of my statistics homework and I watch Superboy for a while. I'm finally on season 4 of Adventures of Superboy, and it just seems like a continuation to season 3. Every other season of the show made big changes to the series, but season 4 is the final season, and it seems clear to me that it's just more of the same, which is not what I expected. Dueling Book won today's fan poll, so I did a series of custom card Yu-Gi-Oh duels. I had fun playing Ventra Vizier again. I feel like in my duel against Shadow Duelist, I might have fared better by playing player armor against his deck, which focused on Lunar, Solar, and Eclipse dragons. They just had a really powerful effect that made it where all attacks you did got negated, and I needed a way to like get rid of his monsters somehow. And Ventra Vizier wasn't cutting it because it's based on attacking your opponent directly, and it just didn't have the destruction force that I needed to get rid of it. Really, all I needed was to summon Ventra Vizier and to get, not summon Ventra Vizier, to summon Ventra the Empowered Warrior and then play Ventra Vizier Grenader, but I never got that combination in my hand in order to like face off against him. So it was rough. It was definitely rough. Um, but I feel like if I had gotten the right hand, maybe I could have taken it on with Venture Vizier. But I just feel like my player armor custom archetype would have fared better. So after the live stream, I started doing laundry. And I took a break to watch YouTube for a bit. While watching a Sorrow TV video, I learned that in one Virginia city, trick or treaters over the age of 12 can face jail time for trick or treating, which I thought was very interesting. If you guys want to learn more about that, you can check out a link in the description box below. I still think it's weird. I don't understand how you would identify whether or not someone was like 12 years old or older, especially with like Halloween costumes. And I don't really think they'd arrest a 13-year-old who wasn't like doing any pranks while trick or treating. After watching that video, I freshened up again and then started working on homework again. After making some progress on my homework, I went to class and hung out with Danica. And inside that class, it's my information systems business strategy class. My teacher really likes to say "fark" instead of cursing, which is interesting because he said it a lot. He said it a lot during class, like today. He's a really fun guy. I like hanging out in that class. Me and Danica like to message each other in that class, but we also like to stay focused. But we make it a fun time all around. The teacher makes it fun. Me and Danica's interactions make it fun. I think one of the highlight moments from me and Danica's hangout during class was the teacher was talking about how like he doesn't like seeing people face the board when doing presentations. Like they need to like face like the crowd because your backside isn't your good side. And then Danica's like, I'm upset that he doesn't think I have a nice ass. I just didn't expect that from her. And I thought that was like pretty funny. It caught me off guard. Um, Danica actually got her car back recently from the mechanic. Her mechanic is like really cheap, but he also does stuff like goes to Elvis conventions for like whole months and says like, I'll get your car back to you after I get back from this Elvis convention. So he finally came back from the convention, which I don't understand what you would do for a whole month for an Elvis convention. But he gets back from the convention, and Danica finally has her car back. So I was like, ooh, I need to like ask Danica out on a date. Yo, Sebastian Gomez, welcome back to the stream. It's good to have you. Don't forget to smash that like button if you haven't already. Right now, I'm going back over my day again. I go over my day at the beginning, and then I go over my day again at the end of the stream. So we've already gotten past the part of the stream where I'm like doing the hangout and talking with the live chat. But don't worry, we do these streams every day after midnight, so definitely tune back in then. But right now, I'm just going over my day. Feel free to stay tuned if you want to hear me talking about my day. If not, I totally understand. Right now, I'm talking about what I did after class. I was just talking about hanging out with Danica in class. So after class, I called Maddie. Me and Maddie talked on the phone while I got a chocolate peanut butter and cookie dough smoothie at Burrito Bowl. I never actually eat at Burrito Bowl. It's like a Mexican restaurant that's on campus. They have meals that you can get for around like $7. I spend that much on getting a smoothie alone. I get their largest size, and it's like $7. The smoothie I got was a custom smoothie. They don't really do custom smoothies there. So what I did is I ordered their peanut butter banana smoothie, and then I had them like change out some of the ingredients to make it the kind of smoothie I want to drink. I've tried to go before and just ask for a custom smoothie, and the reaction I got was really weird. They were like, so what kind of base does it need? Does it use yogurt or does it use like some kind of other base for the smoothie? They had so many questions for me, and they were like, we're not really supposed to make custom smoothies, but we'll like do it this one time. But I noticed if you just ask them to change something on the menu slightly, you can essentially get the same results as just asking for a custom smoothie. Sebastian Gomez said, and mala mia, which means and my bad, and then he said ja, which is like saying ha, and he said what time is it? For me, it's 2:05 a.m. So what I'm gonna do is after I finish going over my day, I'm gonna just like end the live stream. So let me continue forward a little bit. So blah 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 smoothie, blah 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 they're expensive, blah 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 they're pretty good. Okay, there we go. So after I got my smoothie, I came back to the dorm, and then Maddie came by the dorm, and we hung out for a bit. We watched a few videos on YouTube. If you guys haven't heard of Fainted, Fainted is like a god right now. So Fainted is a YouTuber who a week ago hit 1,000 subscribers. Our channel is approaching 1,000 subscribers, so we're like almost there. Fainted had 1,000 subscribers a week ago. He's at like 200 plus thousand subscribers now within a week. He just had a series of videos that just blew up, and Fainted is just like a really big YouTuber now. So shout out to Fainted. I've been watching a little bit of his content, and it's pretty good. I feel kind of like a hypocrite because Aiden recently tried to show me like some YouTubers that he really liked, and I was like, I don't think I really fuck with those YouTubers. They seem to do the same thing that like Ethan and Ela do for H3H3, where they like find something on YouTube and they just kind of make fun of it as like a cringe like kind of show. And I was like, I just don't vibe with it because whenever I look at it, I just see like discounted Ethan and Ela. The reason why I feel like a hypocrite is because to me, Fainted does something a little bit similar, but for me, I feel like Fainted is more of a exposed kind of YouTuber than he is like a cringe critique YouTuber. So instead of him looking at someone and like necessarily making fun of them and talking about like how cringy they are, Fainted gets more into detail about like here's how this person messed up and here's like how they could have maybe not messed up, focusing on like famous YouTubers like in the UK and things of that nature. He also introduced me to iNabber being a British YouTuber who does a little bit more of the H3H3 thing with the cringe, but he also does a lot of the expose stuff. I'm not sure if I fuck with iNabber the same way that I fuck with Fainted. Fainted plays like this really crazy game in the background of all his videos where he's a guy with a knife and he rides on like these crazy ramps and shit at high speeds and he like is stabbing other people on the ramps as he like goes along. It's really visually interesting and what he's talking about is already interesting, so it just hooks you with like what he's saying in the visuals on screen, even though they're not directly related. Congratulations to Fainted for your success. That's really impressive. Not gonna lie. But Fainted seems like a cool YouTuber if you haven't heard of them yet. Also, Morg's mom sounds interesting. If you guys haven't heard of Morg's mom, essentially there's this famous YouTuber called Morgs who's gone from being like a little kid YouTuber who used to like play video games and do little sketches to being like a really big YouTuber on the platform. His mom has her own YouTube and apparently is blowing up to the point where she's at like 2 million something subscribers and she's lapping other popular YouTubers. And there's one YouTuber in particular who's getting a little salty about it, and he's starting a campaign of like unsubscribe to Morg's mom or whatever. That's an interesting ass controversy. If you want to learn more about that, Fainted did a video on that. So I watched that earlier today. Pretty interesting. Anyways, enough about Fainted. I just wanted to give him a shout out because I think Fainted's putting in that work. Game recognized game kind of thing. Solid job. He's doing way better than me. Let's see. Okay, so yeah. So Maddie and I hung out for a little bit. Then I took a nap, and then I woke up half an hour later than I wanted to, which caused me to fall behind schedule. When I woke up from my nap, I hit up Danica, and I was like, "Hey, you have any plans for Saturday?" Trying to see if maybe Danica and I can go on a date, considering the fact that Danica got her car back from the mechanic. And Danica's like, "Sadly, no. I have to watch my niece for the weekend, so I just won't be available to like go on dates this weekend." So I was like, "Oh darn. I guess I'll hang out with my friends, play fighting games, hang out." That's my normal Saturday plan, anyways. I love hanging out with my friends, and I love like doing the Saturday hangouts. But I just was kind of excited for a date with Danica, considering that Danica and I finally can date now that I'm divorced and she got her car back. But I understand. She watches her niece and nephews quite often. She more or less has become like the designated babysitter for her family, so it's not too surprising. Uh, Maddie says she's over relationships, whatever that means. I went into big detail on this earlier in the stream, but more or less, Maddie yesterday acted almost as if like she was available again to like start dating, and that's a hard flip flop because we had just went from being like, well, our lives are going on different paths, and it seems like because our lives are going on different paths, we probably shouldn't date. To Maddie doing this hard flip flop, coincidentally, after me mentioning seeing like a future with Danica and me and Danica like working out, Maddie hits me up with like this like drama bomb of, well, maybe I'll also move to DC and maybe I'll also work for the government. But then when I hit her up about it, like, that doesn't seem like what you want to do. That seems like a big switch for you. Maddie's like, oh, I was just talking. I'm over relationships, which is weird. It just felt like she wanted to like put a roadblock in the way just for like funsies, like just to be like, oh, he's talking about getting serious with Danica. I need to like slow that down a bit almost. I just think that's weird. And this isn't like the first time she's done something like that. Um, as long as Maddie's over relationships, whatever that means, that'll make things easier for me because I can pursue Danica without feeling conflicted about anything. So after messaging with Danica and Maddie, I exercised while watching a back issues episode on the death of Captain Marvel. I actually haven't finished that episode yet, but if you're into learning about comics and seeing like really funny comic book based content on YouTube, I definitely recommend the channel Comic Pop that the show Back Issues is on. I definitely say that Back Issues is like the best comic book based show on YouTube, and it's on Comic Pop, which is probably the best comic book based YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked out Comic Pop, I'd highly recommend that you check them out. Like I said, their latest video is the death of Captain Marvel, so that's just a personal recommendation from me to you. After that, I took a shower, I freshened up, and then I started the live stream. So that's pretty much everything that I did today. In case you guys want me to recap what I just talked about, I talked about my day. Then I had a conversation with you guys in the live chat. It was pretty fun. We now have like a cliffhanger question. What's your favorite summoning method and why? I'll answer that next time on the stream. Just remember to ask me that on the next vlog stream. I'd like to thank you all for watching and tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to smash that like button, favorite, comment, subscribe, and ding ding ding, ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we do these live streams. It's your host, your friend, your boy, Jump Like the One and Only, logging out. Peace.